Welcome to the Dr. Mudgil podcast. This is episode 99. Wow, 99. We're getting very close to the 100th podcast. It is the middle of October here. It's cooled down a bit here in New York. It feels like fall is in the air. It's amazing. Just like one day into the next, like the leaves are starting to fall off the trees. Trees are changing colors. It just kind of happens overnight. But I do love the crisp, cool fall air, but I'd hate the winter. So I know it's coming. But anyways, we are making the most of all of this. Had an awesome week. Two of my kiddos celebrated birthdays this week. My little guy turned 12 and my daughter turned 16. I got one in between the two of them. But we had some nice celebrations, some cake, which was delicious. There are a few times of the year that I'll allow myself to indulge in some Carvel cake, which is my favorite, but I had some this week and it was yummy. So I'm kind of continuing on like the theme that I've been talking about the last couple of weeks, which is basically just like healthcare related stuff in general. And in this podcast, I'm actually going to just define a few things that our patients ask us a lot about. And I'm sure many of you are aware what some of these things are, but I'm going to kind of go into a little bit more detail and maybe shed some light, a little more light into something that, all of us are dealing with when it comes to healthcare insurance. So this podcast, I'm going to be talking about what a copay is, what a coinsurance is, and what a deductible is, because any one of us who has health insurance has, either one or all three of these things that we deal with. And as time goes on, like the percentage of your healthcare visit that your insurance company will make you, the patient, responsible for versus the insurance company responsible for, namely, them, increases. And the reason why they do that, of course, the reason why they make any of the decisions that they make is to maximize their profit and increase their share value, just so they can enrich themselves off of you, the patient, and me, the doctor, enrich themselves off of our back. So all the health insurance companies are basically the same. I frequently get asked the question is which one is the best one? They all suck. They all equally suck. I'd say United is top of the list in terms of sucking. They suck the most, but all of them basically suck. The best health insurance plan is actually Medicare, regular old Medicare. Most doctors take Medicare. Medicare is fair. They, you submit your claim, you get reimbursed. There's not a lot of shenanigans there. Medicare managed plans. So those are like Medicare plans that private health insurers administer, like United, Aetna. They have their own Medicare Advantage plans. Like you'll see these commercials all the time. Like, if you have Medicare and you want to get like a million more great benefits, check out our Medicare Advantage plan. United's Medicare Advantage plan. Those are utter bullshit, in my opinion. They're basically like the health insurance companies enriching themselves off of our taxpayer dollars and basically screwing over their patients, who are namely Medicare recipients, and offering them all of these, bells and whistles, but they're basically effing them over. And, they're enriching themselves off of our taxpayer dollars. But that's another podcast. That's its own podcast, which we'll do sometime when Medicare enrollment's happening. So anyways, back to the task at hand. So everybody knows what a copay is, right? A copay is like what you're responsible for when you go to your doctor's office. So you go to see your primary care doctor, you have like whatever, a $20 or $25 copay. You go see a specialist, you might have like a $30 or $40 or $50 copay. So I think everyone knows what that is. But what you may have not been realizing, or you may have realized, and it's not really thought about, is your copay is probably going up from year to year. So like, what used to be like a $20 copay to see your primary care doctor might be like a $30 copay to see your primary care doctor. What used to be a $30 copay to see a specialist might be a $50 copay to see a specialist. And the reason why this is happening is, think about it. And the less money they have to take out of that pot to pay for your health care, the more money they keep for themselves, invest in whatever things they invest in, and they, basically profit off of that, right? So if your copay is $20, then, your health insurance company has to pay like anything beyond $20, right? But if your copay is $50, the health insurance gets to keep 30 more bucks in their bucket. And, they're basically multiply 30 times whatever millions of people that they insure. And that's like, that's a hell of a lot of money, right? So as a example, like, a typical, like, say it's like a typical follow-up visit for like acne. All right. These numbers are I'm just kind of making these numbers up, but say that reimburses like $80. All right. Again, I'm just making this number up. Someone's copay for that visit might be $50, right? So the health insurance company is on the hook for $30. So you're paying $50. The health insurance company is paying $30. And instead of you paying $30 and the health insurance company paying $50, it's obviously much more favorable to them for you to pay more out of pocket. So that's why our copays are going up. It's just a sneaky tactic by health insurance companies to basically make patients pay more out of pocket, even though we're paying a shit ton of money for our health insurance premiums. I know I've mentioned this before, but I pay like $40,000 for my family to have health insurance for the year. I have a $5,000 deductible on top of that. So basically I'm paying like $45,000 out of pocket before like my health insurance actually kicks in and they pay for anything. So that's why our copays are going up. So again, I think everyone knows what a copay is, but that's why our copays are increasing. The health insurance companies are basically trying to F us over at every turn, any possible way that they can. Now, the next thing I'm going to talk about is coinsurance. Now, coinsurance is like, it's probably been around forever, but I'm seeing much more coinsurance these days. So what a coinsurance is you pay your copay. So you pay like whatever, $50 for your copay. And then you're responsible for some percentage of the balance before your insurance company pays for it. Usually it's something like 10% or 20% or something along those lines, right? So say you come to see, your doctor, and the fee for that visit, the negotiated rate with that insurance company is $80, right? So you pay $50, that's your copay. There's $30 left that your health insurance company is on the hook for. But if you have a coinsurance where you're responsible for paying like 10% of whatever the balance is, you're responsible for 10% of that $30. So you have to pay $3, and then your insurance company pays the balance of $27. Again, another tactic by insurance companies to deflect the amount responsible for a doctor's visit to the patient. So even though you're paying your premium, to see your doctor, your health insurance company will think of any possible way to somehow get you to pay more out-of-pocket dollars above and beyond your premium, so that they have to take less out of their pot, the collective pot that we're all putting our money into, so they can keep as much money in that pot to get as rich as possible. So that's what a coinsurance is. And again, I'm seeing a lot more coinsurances these days. And the last thing are deductibles. So like deductibles, in the last 5 or 6 years of practicing, particularly in the last 2 or 3 years of practicing, like almost every single one of my patients has a deductible. When I opened my office 14 years ago, almost nobody had a deductible. It was really, really rare. Now I think everyone basically has a deductible to some extent. It's exceedingly rare to find someone who doesn't have a deductible with their insurance. And basically what that deductible is your insurance won't reimburse the doctor for the visit until you've paid whatever that out-of-pocket amount is. So say, for instance, your deductible is like $1,000, right? And you come to see the doctor, and the doctor's supposed to get paid $80 for the visit. Well, you pay $50 copay when you come in, and then, the insurance processes the claim, and there's $30 left in the balance. Well, in this case, you'll get a bill from the doctor's office for $30 because the insurance would have paid the $30, but because you haven't hit your deductible of $1,000, you're responsible for those $30. So this is where things get kind of sticky, because really the insurance company should be sending you a bill for you to pay your doctor the balance, because it's a contract you have between your insurance company. But they kind of put this on the doctor's backs, right? Make the doctors look like the bad guy. So the doctors send you a bill, and that costs the doctors money, by the way. It costs me 75 cents to send a statement out. Usually you have to send at least 3 statements out. So it's $225, multiply that times the 45,000 patients I have in my practice. That adds up to a pretty significant chunk over time. I have to use a billing service, which also gets a percentage of collections. All of this stuff comes out of the doctor side of things, because the insurance company is basically saying, hey, doc, the patient owes you $30. It's on you to collect that. So, we send the bill to insurance, but to the patient, and the patient will frequently say, well, that doesn't make any sense. I paid $50 at the time of the visit. But yeah, that $50 was the copay, but the $30 is the deductible. And this is what's motivating me to have this podcast, so I can kind of explain what these things are. So again, these are all nefarious tactics that insurance companies put into play to decrease their financial burden for patient care, right? the more money they could keep in their pot, the money that we're all putting money in, we're all putting our premiums into that pot, that big pot of money. The insurance company doesn't want to take any of that money out for you to get your health care, for you to see your doctor. They'd rather say, hey, you know what? You haven't met your deductible, or you have a coinsurance, or your copay is getting higher, because that enables them to deflect more of the cost to you, the patient, and enable more of the burden on the doctor to collect payment. Kind of takes them out of the equation. They're sitting on this pot of gold, and they're investing it in whatever they invest in, and they're making money off of our money, and they're not paying out for what we're paying into. So we're paying into the pot. They're supposed to pay out of that pot for your health care, for you to see your doctor, for your doctor to get paid by them. But instead, they're saying, no, we're going to put this on the patient's back to pay. We're going to put it on the doctor's back to try to collect the money from the patient. We're going to take ourselves out of this equation, and we're going to get rich off of that money that patients are paying into that pot. It's a really crazy, crazy system when you think about it. And as I say, every time I say one of these podcasts, God, my blood's boiling. I'm sure my blood pressure is getting high just thinking about this. It's up to us. It's up to patients and doctors to be vocal about this, because insurance companies, big pharma, private equity companies, big hospital systems, they're all on the other side of the fence of the doctor-patient relationship, and they will employ any and every tactic to F us over to maximize their profit and enrich themselves. Doctors and patients, the doctor-patient relationship is one of the purest relationships that exists. Patients come to doctors because they want to get help for a problem they're having. Doctors want to help their patients. They go to endless years of schooling to be able to do so, to have the privilege to do so. But those four evil forces on the other side of the fence are doing everything they can to maximize their income and their profit off of patients' backs and off of doctors' backs. So, food for thought for the weekend. I hope this sheds some light on what copays, coinsurances, and deductibles are. I hope you all have a wonderful, restful weekend and are ready to just crush the week ahead. Let's get it.